Putin pushed for withdrawal when the pressure became impossible to deny. After months of sustained losses, crumbling logistics, and rising unrest within the ranks, Moscow's leadership began quietly shifting its language. What was once described as permanent control suddenly became strategic repositioning. What had been declared non-negotiable now appeared flexible. The word withdraw did not echo loudly at first, but its implications were enormous. For Ukraine, this was not a sign of peace, it was an opening. Throughout the conflict, Russia had relied heavily on narrative control. Victories were exaggerated, defeats minimized, and setbacks reframed as deliberate choices. When the idea of withdrawal surfaced, it was carefully packaged as a tactical decision meant to preserve forces. But on the battlefield, reality told a different story. Russian units were exhausted. Supply lines were overstretched. Morale had eroded to dangerous levels. Withdrawal was not a choice made from strength. It was an admission that control was slipping. Ukraine recognized the moment instantly. Years of war had taught Ukrainian commanders that hesitation favors the occupier. Every pause allows defenses to reset, forces to regroup, and political pressure to mount. If Russia was preparing to pull back, it meant gaps would appear, confusion would spread, orders would conflict. That was the moment Ukraine had prepared for, not with reckless aggression, but with precision. The Ukrainian response was immediate and devastatingly effective. Intelligence networks activated across multiple fronts. Drone surveillance intensified. Intercepted communications revealed disorganization among retreating Russian units. Some commanders awaited orders that never came. Others acted independently, creating chaos within their own lines. Ukraine did not rush blindly forward. Instead, it struck exactly where retreat turned into vulnerability. Precision strikes targeted withdrawal routes, bridges, and supply hubs. Roads meant to carry Russian forces to safety became bottlenecks. Vehicles jammed together under aerial observation turned into easy targets. What had been planned as an orderly pullback quickly descended into disorder. Retreating units found themselves under constant pressure, attacked from directions they believed were secure. This was Ukraine's revenge, not driven by emotion but by mastery of modern warfare. Rather than celebrating the announcement of withdrawal, Ukrainian forces treated it as a warning signal. The message was clear: leaving would not be painless. Every kilometer abandoned would come at a cost. The speed of Ukraine's response stunned observers. Within days, territories long thought unreachable were back under Ukrainian control. Russian defenses, designed to resist frontal assaults, proved useless against rapid maneuver warfare. Minefields were bypassed. Strongpoints were isolated rather than stormed. Units left behind to delay advances often surrendered without resistance. Many soldiers, already disillusioned, saw little reason to fight for ground their own leadership appeared willing to abandon. This psychological impact was profound. For Russian forces, the withdrawal order shattered the illusion of purpose. Soldiers who had been told they were defending sacred territory now questioned why they were retreating at all. For Ukrainians, the moment reinforced belief. It validated years of sacrifice and proved that patience combined with preparation could reverse even the deepest losses. Civilians in contested areas felt the shift immediately. Occupation authorities vanished overnight. Checkpoints were abandoned. Flags came down. In their place came uncertainty, but also relief. Ukrainian units entering liberated towns were not greeted as invaders but as long-awaited protectors. The speed of change left little time for propaganda to adapt. Reality overtook narrative. International reaction was swift. Analysts who once spoke of frozen conflicts now described cascading collapse. Allies saw confirmation that support was producing results. Neutral observers reassessed assumptions about Russian endurance. The myth of inexhaustible reserves crumbled as images of abandoned equipment and chaotic retreats spread across global media. Yet Ukraine did not allow success to breed complacency. Leadership emphasized discipline, advances were measured, every reclaimed position was secured, not rushed past, engineers cleared mines, logistics followed closely behind combat units. This was not a revenge driven by anger, but one guided by strategy. Ukraine understood that the true victory was not forcing Russia out, but preventing its return. Russia attempted to regain control of the narrative. Official statements framed the withdrawal as humanitarian concern, as restraint, as foresight. But such explanations rang hollow against footage of disorderly retreats and captured equipment. The battlefield exposed truth faster than any press conference could obscure it. The brilliance of Ukraine's response lay not only in speed, but in timing. By striking during withdrawal, Ukraine exploited the most dangerous phase of any military operation. Retreat requires coordination, trust, and morale. Russia had lost all three. Ukrainian commanders understood that an enemy pulling back is neither fully defensive nor offensive, but exposed on all sides. As territory changed hands, the broader balance of the war shifted. Russia's ability to threaten from depth diminished, artillery ranges shortened, air bases fell out of reach, supply routes stretched even further. Each withdrawal created new problems that no amount of rhetoric could fix. The war was no longer about holding ground, but about preventing collapse. For Ukraine, the revenge was not about humiliation, but about justice. Justice for cities shelled, for families displaced, for years of occupation. Yet even in victory, restraint remained. There were no reckless pursuits, no symbolic gestures that endangered civilians. The professionalism displayed reinforced Ukraine's image as a modern, disciplined force fighting for sovereignty, not conquest. The long-term implications were impossible to ignore. Putin's push to withdraw marked a turning point that could not be reversed easily. Once a retreat begins, stopping it requires confidence and momentum, both of which were gone. Ukraine's instant response ensured that withdrawal did not stabilize the front, but accelerated its unraveling. As weeks passed, what began as limited pullbacks expanded. Defensive lines shortened. Strategic depth disappeared. Russian forces found themselves reacting rather than dictating. The initiative had permanently shifted. Ukraine was no longer responding to moves. It was setting the tempo of the war. History will likely remember this moment not as a single battle, but as a collapse triggered by miscalculation. The decision to withdraw meant to preserve strength, instead exposed weakness. Ukraine's response, immediate and brilliant, transformed a tactical adjustment into a strategic defeat. In war, timing is everything. Putin's withdrawal came too late to prevent damage and too early to disguise intent. Ukraine seized the moment with precision and resolve. The result was not just reclaimed land, but a shattered illusion of control. As the dust settled, one truth became undeniable. Withdrawal did not de-escalate the war. It revealed its direction. Ukraine's revenge was not loud, not reckless, but devastating in its effectiveness. And once unleashed, it could not be stopped.